Hey everybody, what's up? So, we have a few things to actually go through today. One of them is Claude Connect and the changes with this that have been made. Another is a brand new product that I actually think is really quite helpful, especially for what I'm doing as well. I read a lot of Markdown files, and there's no decent reader or editor out there at the moment. So I decided to build one as part of the products offering. So we've got HyperVoice, that is a voice to text, Claude Connect, which is an interface into really Claude code, specifically and only Claude code. And then we've got HyperMD, which is a markdown viewer and editor. I'll take you through that in a little bit. So essentially, the changes on the right-hand side that we've done with HyperVoice so far and yesterday was implementing an auto-detect for speech languages. So now what happens is if you set it to auto-detect, it actually detects your speech, and the longer you speak, the better it is. The better it detects. So we got that done yesterday. Take it back to English. What we did with Claude Connect were quite a few changes. Let's have a look at what we implemented so far. So light mode theming, I've implemented a light mode and then also accent colors on that. What else? Stream propagation. There was a build glitch as well that we fixed up, scrolling. Excuse me. What I have done is instead of scrolling, whenever you click on a bubble, it instantly jumps there. I didn't like that it took too long to scroll. And if you've got a lot of messages up at the top, I don't want to have to wait for it to scroll. Just take me there instantly. I don't want to waste time. Time's important. So jump to the latest, now takes down there. What other issue we had is when you had something selected on the left-hand side, one of your messages, and when you scrolled up, you'll notice that when you scroll through the Claude messages, the selected box moves on the message that you sent. So as we scroll up, things should now jump into view. I do notice that sometimes it doesn't do it properly, but for the large part, it works properly. Jump to latest also works nicely now. Highlighting, I've changed the highlight or the border from yellow to the accent color, so that is being changed. And then it was flashing a little bit when scrolling. That's been fixed up. Text wrap is something that has been fixed up as well. So inside of certain tool calls, words would be cut off and then move to the next line. So in the middle of the word, it would actually be cut off. So that's been fixed up. So at least that whole words now stay together. Letters of a word stay together. So text wrapping and then diagnosis left unimplemented. That was something else. So onto the, what's also been implemented are hotkeys. No, hotkeys have always been there for this. So we've got a light mode and dark mode. We've got accent color, so we can choose the accent color on these. Go to green and everything highlights green. We do have a color picker that has changed. So if you edit a custom color, we can do this now nicely. So that works. What we've also got is the ability to pick colors as well. So predetermined colors. That's also working. And then what we've got is quite like the blobs at times. Then we've also got a light mode. So this is the light mode for the blobs. And then we can set that to a custom color background. And that's what it looks like in light mode. So pretty cool. Let's go back to dark and then back to blobs. I think those are all of the changes that have been made in HyperVoice at the moment. Now, onto the new product, HyperMD. As I said, this is a markdown viewer that's being created today. Essentially, what you do is you'll open a folder or you'll select a pre-done folder, a recent folder. So we can go into HyperMD. If you click on a file, excuse me, if you click on a file on the left-hand side, it actually loads those files in tabs. There are a couple of ways to view this file. So the one is just viewing it already rendered, like you can see here. Let's have a look at README or Docker. Yeah, so let's have a look at Docker. So we've got a Docker MD file here. We can view it rendered. We can split the view so we can see code on the left and rendered on the right-hand side. Let's just make this a bit bigger. So code on the left, rendered on the right-hand side, and then you've got pure edit view as well. So we can split this. Let's just add a test in there. Changelog, so the view type persists per tab as well. So if we split this first one, this one let's edit, and then this one let's split again. And let's make a couple of changes here, and a few changes to the README, and also further on down here. So what we can do now is we can, if you try to close this tab, it comes up as saying unsaved changes. Fantastic, everything does that. But what you can also do is you can view the changes. This diff view is not great at the moment. It should show line by line change, not the whole text as having been changed. So I've noticed in HyperMD that if I add a new line to a file, the entire file marks as changed and is shown in the diff. Why is that? Okay, so here as well. So I've made changes to all three of the files. If I do right click and I say close all, it comes up saying 3 files have unsaved changes, .md, and then it shows the diff for each one of these. I don't know why it's showing everything as the diff. Maybe what it should do is automatically compress the other ones. Okay, so let's cancel. Excuse me, cancel out of that. Okay, go back to Docker. What else has been done is for any sort of like code blocks, I've added a copy button inside of this, so you can actually copy code. One thing I did notice is that links don't work. So we need to get links working tonight. What else? Again, inside of here, you've got settings, light mode and dark mode. This is exactly the same as Claude Connect. Settings. Oh, blobs. Okay, there we go. And we've got a blobs field as well, or blobs background. That we can set to be warp speed, so you should see the blobs moving a little bit more quickly. So the center was more or less where my mouse cursor was. And then the blobs just shift around. Let's change that back to normal speed. And we'll change it back to dark mode. Okay. Let's also change that back to a solid color. It will make it purple for now. Okay, what else? Keyboard shortcuts. So we've got open folder, save, close tab, close all tabs. Excuse me, toggle sidebar, and then cycle view, open the settings, show hotkeys, and a few other things. So B is toggle sidebar. I think that should collapse instead of disappearing completely. Control K allows you to search for files. So if you do type in letters like ME, it does highlight where that has been found. And beneath the file name, it does show the folder that it was in. So if you search for NT, text files. Okay, so that is pretty much HyperMD. I don't think there's more than that. So build clean, let's have a look back at Claude Connect. We'll have a look at HyperMD. I noticed that in HyperMD, that if I added a new line to file, everything gets marked as changed. That's a Windows line ending system, walking through it, blah, blah, blah. Also patching that, build clean, let's test it. HyperMD, we've changed those files. Let's try and close that. View the differences. Maybe we need to refresh. Split. Add that in there. Try and close. View. Here we go. So working properly. What we'll do is in the changelog, let's edit that. AA. We'll change that to pastel. Change it to color. And then here we'll delete something. Depth. So right click, close all. There have been some changes made. So changelog, that's been changed from that to AA. What I've also done is I've added in next change and previous change. So change this change 2 of 3. That was changed there. So you can see the change 2 of 3. Press it again, and we've got the change 3 of 3. Come back to DockerMD. So the diff is working properly there. Cancel. Let's test this in light mode now. Close all. Expand it. Docker. That looks good. Escape. Yeah, I guess that works correctly. Changelog MD. Colors look good. Okay, that all looks good. Undo changes. I guess what I do want to do is inside of the tab, being able to right click on it to undo changes. If I right click on a tab, I also want an option to be able to undo changes. Move that up. Let's move this down a little bit. Jump to the latest. Okay, busy thinking at the moment. I also wonder whether we should actually have something in here that can actually, like what you see is what you get, WYSIWYG type editor, where you can actually click on text and press Control B to make it bold. Let me know what your thoughts are. Might actually be quite handy. Okay, so still busy thinking about the right-clicking on the tab. Undo changes or reload file or something. Undo changes. Okay, so here we've got the Docker file. We'll split that. We'll do that. Right-click. Split that. Right-click. Undo changes. Okay. So if we do click Undo Changes, it resets the marker and resets everything else. That works. There. Undo changes. I think what we should do is have a mode auto confirm to undo the changes, yes or no. So what might happen is you might accidentally do that. So I do want some a pop-up to appear. So if you do click undo changes, you must confirm it first. Okay, done. Right-click any tab now, shows that. Menu position clamp, bump to that tool. The extra row never spills off the viewport bottom. Okay. There is a transparency behind this menu. I don't know if I like that transparency. Let me know in the comments. That'll be great. Right. So waiting for this to happen. Undo changes. I have also downloaded Medium English. For the speech engine for HyperVoice, I just want to try it out because I noticed quite a few people are actually downloading the bigger models, like the large V3 Turbo and Medium English. Let's just download that one as well. But their transcription times are not great. I was going to say are quite bad, but they're not bad. They could always be better. I've noticed desktop. There we go. So there's the search in the top left here. So you can search for something like MD or whatever you want to. Sorry, I had my face over that the whole time. Right, so what we're implementing at the moment is when you do make changes, you right click, you undo changes, it displays a question. Discard all unsafe changes to .md. This cannot be undone. Cancel, that's great. Undo changes, yeah, done. And the save button goes away. So there, save button. Perfect. So HyperMD is looking really, really quite nice. What I do want to do is I want to make it installable. I need to build in auto update. And I also want to build it into the shell. So inside of Windows Explorer, if you right click, I want to be able to say open with HyperMD. That is actually going to be quite important. I've also noticed that some of the READMEs have external or HTML in it. Because this is an MD viewer, it doesn't render HTML. Should we have in the settings the option to render HTML within the MD files? So for example, on the readme.md for HyperMD, there is HTML there that I think links to an image that does. Should we render that as part of the view? Or should that stay as HTML? Or should we add a setting to the settings to render HTML? I actually think we should add something to the settings. So in the settings, something somewhere in here, allowing the user to render HTML. I'm curious to see what Claude Code suggests. I'm hoping it says add an option to the settings. That's what I'll do that anyway. So that will be done regardless. Okay, add an HTML in Markdown setting. Yes, default on with sanitization, recommended. I still do need to get to the Claude Code, the questions that reflect inside of Claude Connect. Okay, but yeah, this is actually looking quite nice. What else do we need to do? I still need to get all those tasks back. Swapping between really big tabs or a lot of messages loaded in the tabs. I don't know why this one is scrolling with Claude Connect. I do need to have a look at that. What else are we looking at? I think tonight is going to be a relatively short stream, because I think we've got a lot done on HyperMD. Get that back to dark mode. And the bubbles. There's a lot being done on Claude Connect. Okay, so here we have HTML being rendered. This is looking really quite nice. So settings, still not added settings yet. Still busy. Task list, no tasks. Okay, so single thread doing the editing here. Self-thinking. For and 22 flat. For Connect. When Claude Code is thinking, instead of saying the word thinking, I want you to say thinking. What I wanted to say. Thinking, and I was thinking till there's nothing I ain't think. Thinking, nothing. So that's from a song that I actually quite liked, Violent Femmes. Just want to get the exact. To say, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to keep that in there. So Claude Connect. So when Claude Code thinks, thinking, instead of saying the words thinking, I want to say I'm a thinking and I'm a thinking and thinking till there's nothing I ain't think. Part of that. So how can we make it think? Tell me some of the tasks that are still left outstanding. I'm a thinking and thinking till there's nothing I ain't think. Yeah, violent femmes. Right, HyperMD settings. We need the settings to be render HTML on or off. Okay, on. That is a really nice presentation of an MD file. It's looking really quite nice. There, the HyperMD. I've noticed on the images for the README file, HyperMD, the bottom of the Y is missing. It's probably padding. I want you to fix the images for the README. Okay, so what I did was I used remotion for creating these images, actually. So the README images, that image there, the features, these two screenshots were actually created by Claude Code running the application, taking a screenshot, and then saving it away. So even these images here were not created by me. They were created by Claude Code. There you can copy again. Nice, nice. If we come back into here, HyperMD, fixes in, re-rendering hero plus cards. That's nice. Let's make that bigger as well. The Y descender in HyperMD is now fully visible. Checking the feature cards too. Reload. That reload work? One thing I would like to do is auto detect file changes. And as soon as changes have been made somewhere else, automatically update the MD file. Because quite often Claude Code might be modifying MD files for documentation, for specs, for this, for that. What would be really quite nice is just to reload it or automatically reload it, or probably even better, saying that changes have been made to it. Would you like to reload it? Instead of just forcing that reload. Why does that refresh not work? Yeah, there we go. The refresh button or reload button doesn't seem to be working. Can you check? What? Okay, I'm using large V3 Turbo, 291 milliseconds. That is quick. Refresh button or reload button doesn't seem to be working. Can you check? This is large V3 Turbo. Interesting. Okay. Large V3 Turbo, 573. 5 transcriptions, 72 words. I have used it a lot more than that, and it used to be slower. Maybe something has changed. I don't know. Oh, I can't read that text there. Anyway, okay, so let me trace through. And then also what we want to do is we want to add in I want to add in the auto refresh of the file. So if changes have been made, how do we want to see that? The joys of design and figuring out what button to put where and how to display it to the user. So what we're going to do is just get Claude Code to decide for us. I do want it to remain pretty minimalist. I don't want status bars at the bottom. Maybe a pill at the bottom right? I don't know. We'll find out. Is there a reload hotkey? No. Control R should be reload, refresh. I want a new hotkey added, Control R to refresh. Also, if a file, an MD file, has had changes made to it outside of HyperMD, how do we convey to the user that file changes have been made and I do not want to reload it then and there and then? What I do want to do is I want to ask the user if they want to reload it or show something somewhere that it's being changed and they can press Control R or press a button to reload. What do you suggest? Okay. How do we convey to the user that changes have been made and I do not want to reload it there and then? What I do want to do is ask the user if they want to reload it or show something somewhere else. Blah, blah, blah. That transcription was pretty good, actually. Okay, build clean, let's refresh should work. But now I need to open readme.md. Let's open it in the typical go-to Notepad++. Okay, back to Claude Connect, what we were doing. Okay, so the thinking message was working. I don't know if we're going to be keeping it, but I think for now, it's fun. Just as a reminder, it didn't crash. What happens is when Claude Code needs to make changes to certain things within the application itself, it does need to restart the application. I'm running it in debug directly from Claude Code. I just said to Claude Code, run the application for me or run HyperMD for me. And it did. And it just restarts it every time it needs to restart it. I'm keen to see what it's going to do. Okay, plan, detection, whole time of open tabs every 3 seconds by a tiny rest command. There's 2 signals, tab indicator. Tab indicator and inline banner. I don't know about the inline banner. Let's have a look. And now adding that component. You know, it can always add things, then we can always say to it, get that removed if we don't like it. So I don't mind testing things. Let's see what comes of it. I do notice that my stream on YouTube is so far behind me. I don't know if that's normal. So when I do something on my stream now, so I'm double clicking pictures now. 20:56. Where's the time? And I think it actually takes a few minutes. Yeah, a few minutes, not even a couple of minutes. This is so far behind. Okay, I need to figure out how to stream properly. Okay, so we've got ReadMeMD. That has been loaded. Let's go and make a change inside of Notepad++. Here we go. README's changed on disk. Reload. And somewhere, XXX. A find feature. We don't have find. Okay, so that works. There we go. Reload. Control F. Do we need one? I would like to build in a find feature for the current file or files in the current folder. So I want something where you can actually find in the current file or find in the current folder, and searching within files, get that implemented. I don't want to give it too much detail. Okay, let's see what comes of that. Claude Connect. Task outstanding. I had a number of tasks that were linked to a different folder. I think 14 of them in total. Can you tell me what those tasks were? I actually just want to get Claude Code to move those tasks from that one to this tab or this session here. I don't have access to that. Task you're referring to live inside to running SQL store. Yes, fetch them for me and query the database. You have the details. Okay, so here we go with the redaction. So I presume it needs to connect to the database. I don't know how it's going to do it, but I presume they're going to be connection details. So I'm not too sure how it does it, but it might be redacted on the right-hand side. An error code. Okay, local app data. Change that to 5. Yeah, there's a redaction there. Okay, so redaction has actually happened with that. I don't have access to that. You are still busy thinking. Where did HyperMD go to? There we go. So changes that we made to HyperMD. Find feature. Yes, let me build them both. It's still busy with that. Wondering if we should make this text white. Okay, tasks aren't stored in a table. They're reconstructed in memory from message history. Why aren't tasks stored in the database? Okay, so let's try and find the folder that the tasks were stored in. There, development. I'm pretty sure that the tasks were initially stored into this folder here. I do want to remove them from there and move them into the Claude Connect folder, which is here. Do not delete them from the origin until I'm happy that they've all been migrated first. Okay. Tasks are installed in a table. That's that. HyperMD new message. I'd like to build in a find feature for the current file, now wiring it into app. Sidebar view toggle. These dots at the bottom, they don't take up much space. It's nice to see that it's doing something. Why are you jumping around? Code connect. Okay, so sometimes that moves around. 16, blah, blah, blah. Okay, filter out the dismissed ones, so we get to 14. I think it's 14. I don't know, it might be 16. Right, so I'm hoping to see those tasks appear in my notes. They're actually notes. HyperMD new message, wiring the scroll request, excuse me, into Markdown editor. So 6 clicks, scroll to the lines. Okay, good. Ucloud connect. Updated understanding origin, parent, let me find active non-dismissed tasks in the VoiceForge parent sections to see if it lines up with 14. It may be 14, it may be more, it may be less, I'm not too sure. Round about 14. HyperMD, build clean, right. So, folder, Control F. Hotkeys. Find in current file, Control F. When I pressed Control F, what happened was the first time it set the file into split view. If I pressed it a second time, it brought up the native find within the application itself, not a find specific to the application itself. Why? Large v3 is nice and it's quick, 335 milliseconds. That is really quite nice. Okay. Not jumping to the latest. Claude Connect, fix them, query. Here's what I found. Problem with lagging before any writes. Data model. My recommendation, option A. So A, relabel the session. I just want those tasks to appear in my current Claude Code session. Let me read it in more detail. The data model wrinkle. Tasks aren't stored as standalone records. They're reconstructed at runtime. Okay, that we know. Relabel a session, update sessions. Okay, so that does that. So option A. Let's go with option A. $227 milliseconds. Large V3 turbo. I think maybe last time it was taking about 1.2 seconds to transcribe longer 15-word sentences. I think GPU wasn't working properly back when I last tested that. Maybe that's why. Okay. Go clean, Control F always open, text panel, Control F. Save. Okay, Control F, code mirrors search panel. Okay, I see that opens code mirrors search panel. However, can I not just search in the rendered Markdown file instead of in code? It should work in both. I don't know. Maybe it's actually not a bad thing. Is it possible when I search, it searches in code, but when I click next, it highlights that text in code, but I also wanted to highlight the text in the rendered display of that file. Is that possible? That would be quite nice. So next. So that's being highlighted on the left. It would be really cool if it highlighted it on the right as well. Let's see what can happen there. Okay, Claude Connect. Let's go with option A, done session. I still don't see my tasks. I still don't see my tasks in my current Claude Connect session. Why? Obviously something else. Okay, HyperMD is still thinking. Claude Connect. I do still need to get back to being able to run these commands directly inside of here. But because this opens up a new Claude Code session every single time I send a message, it is slower. But now I'm going into replacing Claude Code as opposed to just being an interface into it. Is that what I want to do? I don't know. Let's have a look at feedback and see what everybody wants. Hyper, still busy. HyperMD, still busy with that. Yes, doable. CodeMo's search state is exposed via that. We can listen to it via an update listener and re-render the Markdown component with a highlight prop. Fantastic. Just what the doctor ordered. Lord Connect, what are you saying? I think I steered us wrong. Two things at play. The destination I used was your stated. But your Claude Connect tab, yes, I did change folders. You actually see those 14 tasks in your current tab, two options, a relabel session. Yes, let's go with option A. No, I don't want to do that. Relabel session. Reassign the tasks, message rows. Let's go with option B. I should revert to label. Reassign just the 14 tasks. Those tasks then show up in your current tab. Caveat, those rows will also appear in the conversation history. The corresponding create task bubbles would visually splice or relabel session. If I go with option A and we relabel the session, is that an update to the data, or are we relabeling the session inside of Claude Connect? I'm wanting it to actually do an update to the data, not really giving enough info. Okay, let's go with option A. Yep, so update to the data, that's good. So that essentially means that the data is going to point to the session. We're not actually going to change or rename the tab up here at the top. Okay, HyperMD, when it searches, will clean, so find, say, and yes. What's happening is when I press Control F, I see the section replace or the find and replace being displayed. However, as soon as I type my first letter into it, that find bar disappears. And we also need to make that look a lot better. Let's go with option A, apps currently running. Let me ask you to close it first. If I write while it's open, the in-memory session cache won't pick up the change until you relaunch anyway. I have closed the application. Once you're done with the update, rerun the application. Large V3 Turbo is also working really quite nicely. Starting to get a bit warmer now. Okay, where were we? Oh, I need to learn how to use OBS better. Video, I guess. There we go, I think. This can come back in. And where should we move me? I think for now we'll just move me up there. Okay. Why do I have two Claude Connect sessions, applications open? Jump to latest, HyperMD. Okay, what's happening when I press Control F? That was an issue. Folders clean, was HyperMD. Control F. Still doing it. Oh, that's still busy, still thinking. Okay, Claude Connect. I've closed the application. Once you're done with the update, run the application. I still do not see my tasks. I still do not see my notes. Why? Different table. Yeah, that's because I used the wrong terminology for that. HyperMD, jump to latest. Go clean, now in split mode, type. Go busy. Okay, found it. And I think this is actually what you meant all along by 14. Notes, yes, that. Two options before I write. 14 notes, move to that. Two want me to revert. Two questions, move to that. Okay. 14 notes at that, move to that. That's correct. Also, the 6 at. Why did you move? Also, the 6 at voice forks and the 3 at that. Same destination, or leave those alone. No, number one, I only want you to move the Claude Connect notes. For number two, yes, revert what you did earlier. Yes, revert what you did earlier. Okay. Let's see. Refresh. Find. Yes. Does it need to? Do you need to restart the application? Okay, so it seems though Control F, SA still doesn't work. Concurrent viewers, 0. Okay, no restart needed. Control F still misbehaves first try. Give it a clean remount in the editor. Okay, let's close all. README. Control F. It's still an issue. Okay, so that's not working. Claude Connect. No number 1. App is running again. Please close it once more. It's been closed. I was hoping this section replace would actually be quite a bit smoother than this. We'll actually find. Can't have everything being easy, guess, can you? Okay, HyperMD still busy. Board Connect, whirlpooling. They're restarting the app. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Notes. Okay. Cool. I see those now. Allow auto clearing of completed task notes. When the bar is collapsed, I want active and done. Notes. First click to mark as in progress. Oh, that's already done. Second click. So that's done there. So what this was the first time you click the note, it's in progress. So you see it turning. And then the next click takes it through to completed. And then after that, it marks this completed. When swapping tabs, must remember notes drag to reorganize. Let's have a look at that one. But before we do that, I want you to update changelog and push to GitHub. Let's get this push to GitHub first before we start playing with some other things. Get a backup of this done. Still an issue, build is clean. Test it, find, SAVE, enter. The find is working again, and it's finding the text in the editor, but not in the rendered view. Okay. Connect. Want you to update changelog and push to GitHub. Noted that was the old monitor from the prior restart. Not a new event. Okay, anyway. Another redaction. Okay, so we're pushing to GitHub. Reason is that I want to start testing the play button from the notes through to Claude Code and start seeing if that's actually working for us. Hyper MD, still busy. I guess I should just wait for the little notification on that. To view. I guess if you've got a big enough monitor, do you want the task list and notes side by side? You want the task list below the notes? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Okay, jump to latest. You're still busy pushing to GitHub. HyperMD is still undulating. There we go, something back. Okay, restart kicked off. That noted. That was the old monitor. Oh, still busy. Just some extra tool usages, I guess. Okay, HyperMD. Why are you not jumping to the latest? Let me verify by taking a screenshot of the current HyperMD state and also double check the plugin code is correct. Okay, self-test. Once done, I also want you to test it yourself as well and give me the results. Why should I test when you can be first line? Okay, changelog updated. Changelog. Light mode polish, theme story right. Scroll select fixes. Also need to make the changelog look a lot better. Beautiful timeline. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shut down Claude Connect, exits anyway. Okay. Claude Connect. What we're going to do now is, how will this work if Claude Code is out? So I'm running Claude Connect through Claude Code. So inside of Claude Code, I tell it, run Claude Connect, and it runs the application for me. I've exited out of Claude Connect. Obviously, this application is still going to be running because it's a memory. But then what happens when this Claude Connect instantiates Claude Code and asks it to make changes to it that need to restart the application? I guess we'll find out. Okay, so let's pick one of these. Notes, drag to reorganize. Allow, drag to reorganize, I guess. So, play, enter. Claude exited with that. Why? I guess we lost. Start up Claude Code again. When trying to run the command through Claude Connect, this is the error I got. Let it investigate. Okay, HyperMD, let me test directly with more reliable input. The screenshot shows you in view mode, no editor on the left. The markdown component only receives a highlight prop in split mode. So find, save, enter. Probably highlights it, but I've noticed that it does highlight it in the rendered view. However, I need to manually scroll down the rendered view. How do we scroll in sync between the editor and the rendered view? Okay, Xcode that window sports a process dying. Let me look at Claude Connect spawns Claude. See what might be different from your normal terminal launch. Okay, so Claude is investigating. Tool usage. Hyper send keys aren't reaching the web view reliably. Tauri's web view 2 filters synthetic input. So I can't verify the live behavior from here. Let me push a stronger debug version so you can quickly tell whether the issue is, why do you jump? The marks aren't in the DOM versus the CSS is too subtle. I do see the highlights, but it's not scrolling to the appropriate place on the markdown automatically. That is the issue. Okay. Exit code, no console handle. Okay, exit code that. Status DLL initialization failed. Windows is killing the spawn process during the DLL in runtime init, not because of bad arguments. Some likely cause for a node-based CLI shim spawned from a GUI process like Tori. No console handle. Inherited environment missing critical variables. Diagnostic, do this open PowerShell. I'm already there. Claude help. If it works, it does work. I'm currently running Claude code from that folder. So Claude code is there. Can you not add detailed logging in, debug logging, write it out to a file so you can intercept those messages and realize what's wrong? .363. Why is this even quicker than the smaller models? I wonder why. Okay, first on testing it myself, I tried send keys against Atari WebView, but it filters synthetic input. Okay, good news that it's highlighting. Now implementing scroll sync, approach percentage-based bidirectional sync. When you scroll in the editor, that would be quite nice. So when you scroll in the editor, it's going to scroll in the markdown. When you press enter in the find bar and jump to the next match, code mirror scrolls the editor to it. The scroll listener fires. Okay. You're not coming back, are you? I need you to restart the application when you're ready. Okay, so it looks like this is done. Let's go back to view. Refresh. Find, SAVE, enter, save. That's working much better. However, I know that the markdown file, the rendered file, is slightly below the editor. And because of that, when I see the word highlighted in the editor, the word highlighted in the markdown, in the rendered view, is slightly below and off the screen. Why? And Claude Connect is still busy starting up. Okay. And how does this look in light mode? Still good. At least on the rendered view. Dark mode. Right. Logging instrumentation is in. Let's shut down code. So now we're left with this. We're going to, how do you search notes? Allow drag to reorganize. Play, enter. That's doing something. It's probably sent it through. Great. Latest. So what that was allowing drag to reorganize in the notes. So I want to be able to drag these to move them. HyperMD, working much better. Build clean now in split mode. Let's refresh that, load that up. Save. Find save in the top right. Next. Still off the bottom. Editor previews. Applies when you compute. When you press enter in the bar, jump to the next match. Caveats. Still busy. I do that quite often where I think it's done, and this thing at the bottom saying it's still busy, I don't look at that first. Maybe because it's not front and center enough. Maybe we need an animation on all of those, like a wave that goes across showing it's still busy. Okay, Claude Connect. Looks like that may have been meant for the notes input in the app. Let me know if you want me to do something with it. I want you to allow the reorganizing of my notes by me dragging and dropping. How do we get that implemented? Also want that to be multi-line. I've hit my limit. How have I hit my limit? Settings. Usage. Resets in 26 minutes. Okay, I have been getting quite a bit done. Anyway, I guess this will be it for tonight. We'll continue tomorrow. So as you see, we've got quite a bit done. Still quite a bit left to do. But yeah, welcome to the new products. Welcome to HyperMD. Welcome to Claude Connect. And you see how I'm busy creating these. Using the product of HyperVoice. HyperVoice is being used with Claude Code. And with that, I'm able to create these amazing products. Thank you very much and see you next time.